back to the Home Turf Podcast. It's me, Hunter Mitchell, joined here by my co-host, Cade Harris.
How we doing? How you doing today?
Another Power Rankings. The weeks
Yes, sir.
weeks again. We say it every week. The cream is rising to
Yes,
the top.
very much so. It's starting to very much take its form, and not too many, not too much moving around. I would say from previous weeks.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of smaller adjustments, even though
Mhm.
I think I do have a few big jumps this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're finally seeing some stuff rise and settle. I think most of our takes have been pretty solid so far.
I think
this
so.
year. I think most of the time
I haven't
pretty
checked
good.
it, but
Yeah, well, we should actually scattergraph.
we haven't said anything egregious. I don't think.
Yeah, we should definitely plot out our movement from the beginning of the semester to the end of the semester and kind of see how we shake things out.
For sure.
Yeah, because I usually I have a rough.
I have all of them from the past weeks written out, so
Yeah, I don't.
we can kind of look around that. 'Cause
Yeah.
we were pretty similar.
I don't think. Yeah, I think
most
there's
of
been
the
a few.
time.
I think
Yeah.
last week our biggest argument, and that was over who was in the bottom.
Yeah,
of the
for
West.
both. Yeah, for the West. Yeah.
But that being said, let's get the East. Let's breeze through what we usually do. Vanderbilt, Godspeed. You fought hard against Georgia.
Hey, you actually had me turning on your game. You
I
went
know.
up. You went up 7-0
Yeah.
on the number one team in the nation.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm going to turn the game on. It's probably the first bit of live football I've watched of Vanderbilt this season. But yeah, you didn't get the job done.
Yeah. You got a good noodle star. That's all I can give to you. You hurt Brock Bowers, and I can't.
Wow.
I can't forgive you for that.
Yeah, that's crazy, Vanderbilt.
I need a tight end fantasy ASAP. You're number 6.
South Carolina.
Yeah, South Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah. Glad we're getting on some Gamecock recognition how bad they are.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, they're not good.
It was last week. I had them 5.
Yeah.
No, yeah, last week I had them 5, and it's just there were teams behind them that took care of business, and South Carolina didn't take care of business.
Yeah, not at all.
Specifically against the team that I had them jump them in the Florida Gators. So
Yeah, no. I mean, just a monumental collapse.
yeah,
You were winning the game. You really had a shot to win it. Gave up that touchdown like 20-something seconds left to Pearsall. Man, that's one that you got to win. I mean, that's just simple than that. Defense is looking terrible. Offense is Spencer Rattler and who else? It's just not a good football team. There's not really much else to say about South Carolina.
now
No.
your coach is on the injured list too. I mean,
I saw the title of that. Did he kick something after
he broke his foot.
Yeah, I know, but did he
Yeah, he kicked something. I don't know exact. I think it was a trash can, but I don't know that for sure.
Oh God.
Yeah, he kicked something and he broke his foot. Oh, Beamer.
I'm sorry. I'm not gonna laugh at your injury, but that is a little funny.
It's pretty funny.
It's pretty funny. Yeah.
Sorry, I mean you did it to yourself.
Yeah, I mean,
so
that's
can't feel too bad.
Yeah, but this is where I'm really interested to see
Mm-hmm.
is your 5 spot.
Yeah, Kentucky.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. There we go.
I mean,
that was the one I was kind of I was thinking about. We may have some switch up on.
Yeah. No. What happened this weekend kind of settled it for what I've been thinking about Kentucky.
Yeah.
I really just haven't been impressed by
They're
them
fakers.
this season.
They're fake.
Before the season, I was really high on them. I'm not gonna lie. I think I had them probably 2.
Pretenders. That's what I'm looking
Yes.
for. They are pretenders. They are not contenders. No, Devin Leary is again. This is kind of. I would love to see a breakdown of this from a psychological standpoint. Is what happens when you take a quarterback who is really really good out of their offense they're used to and plugging them into a completely different offense.
I mean, you see it in 2 different occasions in the conference. There at Kentucky, and then with Will Rogers at Mississippi State,
Yeah.
and both haven't fared well.
Another one I always bring up: Brendan Armstrong.
Virginia,
Killing it
right.
at Virginia, and then now he's getting benched in NC State.
Yeah.
It's when you take a quarterback out of their environment, man, it throws them off so much. And the announcers were talking about it in that Missouri game, is how Devin Leary just did not look comfortable because he was used to that high flying, that going really quickly, NC State offense that really picked you apart. And Kentucky is not that. Kentucky is slow. They're methodical. They're beat you down on the run, short passes, march the way down the field. That's how Stoops has always ran that. and that's just not how Devin Leary operates. I mean, man, he did not look good in any capacity.
No.
I mean, those interceptions he threw late were just like horrendous. They were
Mm.
just really bad. Yeah, he's not a good quarterback. Kentucky's back to what they usually have to do, which is win games on the ground, win 7, 8 games, market a good season, wrap it up for next year.
Yeah.
Like that's just kind of what Kentucky's formula has been. It's probably what's going to shape out this season. But yeah, no, they showed their real true colors this week, and they're pretenders.
Mm. All right, moving on. Who you got there sitting in your 4 spot?
I have the Florida
Me
Gators.
too.
Okay, well, I'm almost certain we have the same East now.
Are you?
We better have the same East.
I don't know if we have the same 2 and 3.
You think? You read my
We
mind?
didn't last week.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, every week's a new week, right?
That's true.
In the SEC.
We'll see. All right. So yeah, Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, hey,
Yeah.
they're
Finding ways to win. You got to
we
Graham Mertz.
talked about it a little bit.
I will
right?
say that is the one crow we probably do have to eat is some Graham Mertz crow. He's looked significantly better.
Oh yeah.
From week one and moving on up, and he has looked pretty dang good.
Yes, I have been impressed by him. Like we discussed how that was going to fare moving conferences because
Yeah.
I mean the Big Ten's defenses are very good, but
Yeah.
it's a different it's a different league here in the SEC, and so hats off to him. I don't know where his rushing yards are at now, but I remember that his career rushing yards were pretty poor.
I think
coming into
for
the,
this season he's still in the negatives.
he's still in the negatives.
I think I saw a graphic where someone was doing like a mystery quarterback A, quarterback B. They're comparing Travis from Florida State and Mertz from Florida, and I'm pretty sure rushing yards for Mertz is like negative 48 or
Jeez.
something. He just does not run the ball. But man, 423 passing yards. Now, mind you, South Carolina's got probably a tissue paper defense. That's really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, hats off to Florida. I mean, hey, back in a bowl game, maybe even a pretty decent bowl game going forward. I mean, you got the world's largest outdoor cocktail party in 2 weeks. You get a good bye week before that to prepare / pray, and then you host Arkansas, winnable. Go to LSU, pretty tough. To Missouri, also pretty tough. And host Florida State. I mean, you beat Arkansas. You're fine with probably losing those other 4. I mean, Florida fans probably aren't fine with losing those other 4.
Florida fans won't be there.
No,
They're
but,
crazy.
But I mean, from a logistical standpoint, you're not the caliber of team to be competing with the tops of the country anymore, or as of right now. Billy Napier's still got a little bit to get up there. I think you're good with the 6-6. Go to the whatever bowl. This not the Citrus Bowl. What's the one they played last year? Sunshine Bowl or something?
like the I don't even
like
know.
the
Like the
Florida Bowl or something. They played UCF or no? They played Oregon State. UCF was the year before.
oh,
They played,
was it a bad bowl?
they played Oregon State and got
Was
smoked.
it the Boca
I don't
Raton
remember.
Bowl? It wasn't that, was it?
Oh man,
Nah,
I wasn't.
I'm not sure. I will say though about Florida is they've done a good job. Besides that absolute
The
blunder.
Las Vegas Bowl. That's
Oh
what they were
yeah,
in.
that's right. They
Which was a
played it.
really weird matchup. A 6-6 Florida versus a 9-3 at the time Oregon State team that was like number 17 in the country. Really weird matchup. But yeah, I think Florida, you're good going getting back to 6-6, getting a bowl game,
Right.
and then next year building
Especially
up off
just
of that.
like at the start of the season, like
Yeah,
they were like in panic mode. They've done a great job kind of bringing it all together. Besides that, just absolute blunder that was the Kentucky game. They've done a good job kind of, reeling it all in, bringing it together, kind of, I guess, saving themselves as a program. Like, if they didn't beat Tennessee, they might be looking at a situation where they're not bowl eligible.
yeah, and who knows? They may go out there and really upset somebody. Maybe beat LSU on the road would be huge. You could get to 7-5, 8-4, maybe. That's a big tough ask, but it's I mean, hey, anything's possible with college sports.
Oh,
Now,
for sure.
number 3,
Tennessee.
Correctamundo.
Yeah.
Aha.
Yeah. I mean,
See, I knew
they
we'd see
they
good.
won, but they looked bad.
Yeah,
The team they played was even worse, but they looked bad.
this is a little bit of a situation where the teams below stunk it up, and the teams above just kind of took care of business.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Tennessee, yeah, didn't look great. Rushed the ball pretty well, but offensively just really couldn't get much production. Had punt return touchdown that obviously was kind of sealed the deal. Defense, defensive line did what they've been doing all season, and James Pierce Jr. just terrorizing A&M's offensive line, which we will definitely break that down here in our next A&M football
Do
episode.
we
But
have to?
unfortunately,
It's part of the job, I
part of the
guess.
job. But anyway, yeah, no, Tennessee defensively took care of business. The offense, still a lot of question marks there. Can Joe Milton pass the ball? I think if we get in a situation where they will find themselves stuffed against the run, they're going to have to rely on him, and it may be
He's
a
just
tough,
very inconsistent.
yeah, extremely inconsistent. Although wide receivers didn't help him out either.
They didn't,
There was
no.
quite a few
But there were a lot of,
drops.
yeah, and there were a few times where he just missed the open
Yeah.
guy.
So for Tennessee, you win a sloppy game at home, sloppy top. Um, we got that approved for a headline. Somehow still didn't make it. Verdicts out on whose decision that was.
I didn't even
Um,
see that.
yeah, no, it wasn't on there. Yeah, it got somewhere along the editorial process. It got yoinked. So
It's okay.
I have to file my complaint with somebody there because that was a S tier headline on my part. But you live and live on.
Flex.
Just saying. Just saying that would have gotten clicks. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, I mean Tennessee, you got Bama obviously this week, tough one.
Yes.
Kentucky, it's winnable. Connecticut,
They play UConn?
yeah,
Oh,
they
man.
play UConn. And then two Missouri should be a challenge. And then
That'll be a good game.
you host Georgia, um, which should also be pretty good. Vanderbilt, there's a couple wins spotted here and there. There's a couple, if they're for real, that some big wins. But it's gonna be a tough road. But for Tennessee, yeah, I think number 3 spot fits them well. And so then we've got the Missouri Tigers
Mhm.
in our 2 spot.
Yes.
Man, what a team!
I
Drinking,
still don't know anything about them, I feel
No,
like.
yeah.
I mean, other than the fact that they're a hard playing team, that they play for each other, they want to win. Like,
yeah.
it's they have a good team, like, of personalities.
I will say that last week we said you really just want to see Missouri go out there and just win a football game. Like go out like no like semantics, heroics, go out there and win against a
They
good
did.
football team. That's what they did. So like hats off to Missouri, respect to them. Like that is really what we were expecting and waiting for this team to do is just go out there and win. And win big and win convincingly. And that's what they did. Luther Burden didn't even he had like 1 or 2 catches that entire game, and Missouri still throttled Kentucky. So that just shows that they are not as one dimensional as it may seem. Brady Cook is arguably one of the top SEC quarterbacks right now. He's performing really well. And then of course this Missouri team, what I kind of talked about before the season is the defense has they haven't been as stout as I figured they would be, but they have been enough. You know,
Mhm.
they have done enough. Even like Brady Cook didn't have that crazy of a game against Kentucky. Only 167 passing yards, but they still won by 17 points.
Right.
That just shows that this team is multifaceted, multidimensional. They can beat you in many ways, and so that's what kind of makes a team like that dangerous. Is that you're not so one sided.
Yep.
And then the top,
Georgia.
Bulldogs. Kind
Yeah.
of weird one this week.
Yeah. 17-point win against Vanderbilt. I mean, I guess
Ew.
I would take it.
I mean, we had to take a 5-point win against
Yeah,
Vanderbilt?
at home. The year they won the Orange Bowl. So weird.
What was that? Was that 15, 17? What was that?
I think it was 17-12 was the final score, I believe.
Ugh.
Yeah, we got it. They got a safety, and Aggies came away with a nail-biting win against Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I remember walking home that night. That was a rough one. Yep. Yeah, 12-17.
It's
Yeah, that
crazy.
that was it. Ugh.
Yeah.
But anywho, talking about this Vanderbilt team. Um, yeah, Georgia. I mean, man, you felt really good about Kentucky. Then you watch them against Vanderbilt. I still think this team probably has a few weaknesses with Brock Bowers being out.
Oh man.
That's that's really you're kind of getting into a little bit of a hovering in the orange,
Hmm.
kind of red, kind of like it could get a little scary here closing out. It could get for if you're Georgia, you're gonna have to really be Georgia,
Hmm.
um, for a couple of weeks, because you're gonna have a you're always gonna have a target on you because you're the number one team in the country. But with one of if not your best player gone for weeks now, I mean, ooh,
Right.
you've got Florida, world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Then you host Missouri, which bad draw for Missouri, probably good draw for Georgia. Then you host Ole Miss, but then you go to Tennessee, and then to Georgia Tech, but whatever. Um, uh, yeah, I mean you're lucky in your draws in essence that Florida was going to be a tough one, but technically neutral site. Usually a pretty good amount of fans show up in Jacksonville for that one. Hosting Missouri is huge. You're lucky to have that one there. Same thing with Ole Miss. You're lucky to host those two. And then at Tennessee is going to be the real big one. So you hope you don't drop a game at home. And then at Tennessee is the real is the real challenge.
Hmm. I think the key for Georgia is just going to be finding consistency, like every Saturday. Like the team that went out there and performed, and like the performance against Kentucky that's the best team in college football right there.
Yep.
But they haven't been able to show that they can play like that every Saturday, like or even most Saturdays. To be honest, they've
Yeah.
they've really struggled against most of the teams that they've played, and so that's if they struggle, and they get off to a bad start. Like it seems like they have been like every single game getting off to a bad start against like a Missouri. Like they could slip up, or they could even slip up against Florida. But I don't think they will. But
It's
that's
a
why I mean
possibility.
this team at its peak is at it's the number one team in the country for
Yeah,
sure.
but I mean, it feels like there's a little climbing the summit a little bit sometimes, as
Yeah,
opposed to what you expect from Georgia. Um, but yeah, so the West.
the West. Yes, we had like a pretty little heated discussion about. I don't even say heated, just a little discussion about our 6 and 7 last week. But
Yeah,
I'm staying the same. Auburn's still number 7, and a big point that you brought up was that Mississippi State LSU game, and LSU went out and treated Auburn about as bad as they treated Mississippi State, and if not worse.
yeah.
So
This is, I mean, man, this is probably the closest we'll get to 7A and 7B as the entire
yeah.
season. Both 3-3, 0-3 in conference. Um, I just, man, Mississippi State. They just feel so bad. Like it's pity points, but I have to give Auburn pity points for keeping it within 7 against Georgia. Like I just have to. I mean, Mississippi State's last game was a slugger, like
Against Western
like
Michigan.
28-41. You win by 13 against Western Michigan at home in the middle of conference play. That just shows the state that the program's in. Is that you have Western Michigan like near middle of conference play at home. What like what?
I don't know if that's just the SEC the way the scheduling works,
Yeah,
right?
but I mean that just feels reflective
You
of
think
like the
so?
state they're in. I know
Yeah,
it's
it could
not, but
be
it feels doesn't like to just get that just feels kind of where they're
a
at right
little
now
bit
is playing Western Michigan in
in the middle
conference
of
play.
conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any other SEC team is playing like a non-conference game in the middle of the season.
Only one was Arkansas BYU, but
And
that turned
even
into a
still,
Power 5 matchup.
that was like week 3.
Yeah. Um I don't know. I just can't do Mississippi State. I just feel like offense bad, defense bad. I think it's bad. But then again, we get to both our sixes, which are our flip flop.
Yeah.
Auburn's bad. Peyton Thorne's bad. Robbie Ashford bad.
October 28th at 2:30.
With a toilet bowl? Is that when they're playing?
Auburn Mississippi State
Oh
will
man,
end this debate.
that is going to be that is going. Oh, I'm going to tune in for that one.
We're
That is going to be a football game of all time.
It's at Jordan Hare, so Auburn has the advantage there.
Come on,
So
go Tigers! War damn Eagle!
yeah, so you can get your little prediction right. We'll see.
War
We'll see. I
damn
think
Eagle! You have to. You are the head-to-head guy. You have to
I
honor
am the
this.
Oh, I will.
Yeah, you
100%.
you got
100%.
you got it. We'll hold you to it. We'll
Oh
hold you
yeah.
to it. I'm still upset you never had to buy that Jalen Milroe jersey,
I'm
but
not. Saved my bank account.
so then our five. We agree on number five.
Arkansas.
Woo pig
Yeah.
suey. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's pretty standard pick right there.
Yeah.
They they're literally like I said last week, like the top four teams and then the bottom two teams like have a really wide gap, and then like Arkansas is just there like in the middle of it.
Yeah, just kind of
Like,
floating, like congealed. I mean, fought hard against Alabama. Took them to
yeah.
a field goal.
Ugh.
Fought hard against Mississippi State. Fought hard against LSU, and didn't come up with any of them.
No.
So like you feel for them because they're fighting hard and competing in these really big games, but they're just not getting victories. And we can only throw so many pity parties before you have to start paying for them yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, Arkansas on the 5, then your 4 spot,
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll talk about it more later, but this team is just poorly coached for one. They have way too much talent to have lost these last two games. But they have a severe lack of coaching at the moment. He doesn't know how to manage a game. And then also I don't even think he's really good at making sure the best personnel's out on the field at all times. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a team that's held back by its coaching, and the offense is also just not to where we thought it might have been at the beginning of the season.
Offense or one real particular unit on the offense?
Yeah, the offensive line's been bad, but man, I feel like
I
you
think
can't put all the blame on it.
Dude, truthfully, I really think you can.
Really?
I think how is your quarterback expected to throw the ball if like they're literally giving him like a third of a second to pass the ball because you got your tackles just getting just blitzed by these guys and every other play if he's not getting sacked or throwing the ball away, he's getting slammed to the ground. So like Johnson has no time to throw, can't get the ball to receivers to make plays. It I really do think you can put most of it on the offensive line.
I'd definitely say
Yeah.
most of it,
Because
but
you can't run the ball either behind the offensive line because they
No.
can't block. So it's like and we preach this all the time. In the SEC, you win and lose on those defensive and offensive fronts.
Mhm.
And right now, A&M's losing on those offensive fronts. They have,
massively.
I think, like the 5th worst offensive front. I think it's in terms of pass protection. I think it's behind or they're in front of like Bowling Green, Rice, like FIU and UTEP. I think are the 4. Don't quote me on that, but it's not schools you want to be in company
Right.
with when you are competing in the SEC West. Yeah, no, the offensive line is horrendous. Poorly coached by Steve Adazio. I feel like by this point he should have gotten his group together and figured out. Yeah, poor game management. Defense stepped up, played really well. They bent but did not break most of the time, which at some point sometimes you do like to see when you go up against really strong offenses. Can you stop when it's important? And they did, but yeah, no. Offensively, unless the offensive line shapes up, they're gonna have a real tough time winning football games here.
Very
It's
tough.
what South Carolina's going through right now.
Yeah, I mean, even that South Carolina game is going to be tough if you can't block.
Yeah, exactly. So are we gonna have a perfect East and West? No, we didn't because you just had to ride with Auburn. Huh?
Yeah.
If we would have flipped that deal, we would have been gold star.
Maybe October 28th we'll have our final.
If nothing crazy happens, man, because
Yeah, I mean we should have the same power rankings like every like towards the end of the season, like the last 2
we'll
3
see, man.
weeks.
College football is a weird beast.
That is true.
So then our 3 spot.
LSU.
Yeah.
Is that where you're still at?
Yeah. No, LSU.
Okay, yeah, I was just checking. Yeah, LSU. They feels like they're scraping by in some of these games, but
I mean,
uh,
smoked Auburn.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, I'm saying
Yeah.
like like the games that are against real opponents, not Auburn and Mississippi State. And so, like the Ole Miss game,
The actual
the
games,
Ole
yeah.
Miss game, they were scraping through and they lost it. And Arkansas game had to scrape through that. So yeah, I mean, I and I guess for the Tigers, like the reason, I don't know. I still feel like they're a better team than Ole Miss, but I don't want to put them above the Rebels just because of that head-to-head
Head-to-head
thing.
ranking, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, eventually, sometimes you got to throw it to the wayside, but I
yeah.
also just feel like, I mean, Ole Miss gets the benefit of being on a bye,
Hmm.
so we don't have a lot of and we got from last week.
Well, they weren't on
Um,
a bye.
were they not?
Ole Miss beat Arkansas 27-20.
Yeah, that was last week.
That was last week.
Yeah, they were off this week
Oh my
because like
gosh.
October 7th, and then their next game is this weekend against Auburn.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they were on
Okay,
a bye. Yeah, because
my bad.
yeah,
That's right. Because Arkansas played
they Alabama.
Alabama. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm stupid. My bad.
that's what happens when you talk sports too much. You get lost in it.
Shoot, yeah.
But yeah, Ole Miss benefited being on a bye. LSU, did what you were supposed to do against Auburn pretty convincingly. You gotta give them points for that, at least a little bit. Still an SEC opponent, not a good one, but still an
It's a
SEC opponent.
decent defense though.
Yeah. So and LSU's got one of the best offenses in the country.
Yeah,
But I mean that defense is a wet napkin.
it is. Yeah.
So you wonder how that's going to shape up against some of these better teams going forward. So then LSU, like I said, or Ole Miss in our two spots.
Yeah, Ole Miss too.
I'd
Just
say there.
I mean they lost to Bama, so you
Yeah.
can't put them at that one
Bama,
spot for
who
me. And
is in our number one.
yes,
So, I mean, you
pretty
got
much rounds it out. Like
the cream is rising. I think the cream is Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss.
yeah,
And I think the crop is falling. I think A&M is falling kind of in the dredges a little bit around kind of even closer to where Arkansas is maybe a little bit. Above them, obviously, you have that head-to-head pretty convincingly, but Auburn, Mississippi State floating down the bottom. A&M, Arkansas kind of in limbo. Arkansas is pretty lucky. They got a pretty favorable schedule going forward. Could definitely make a bowl game. They could.
oh,
They could.
I think so.
They could definitely that's still in the picture. I
Hmm.
mean, you beat Mississippi State. You maybe lose to Florida. Beat Auburn. Yeah, I hope you beat FIU.
You would think, right?
And then you host Missouri. So your real toss-ups are the Missouri and Floridas. But other than that, you win those three. You just need to grab either Missouri or Florida win. So you know they still make a bowl game. So don't discredit the 2-5 Arkansas Razorbacks yet. It's a really bad look, but they've had a
Oh, it's their
gauntlet.
schedule.
Yeah,
Yeah, their schedule makes it look that
their
way.
schedule is a nightmare. You really hope that you really wish you would have beat BYU. That would have made this whole thing a lot easier. But you got Bama, number one. Roll Tide.
Hmm.
Roll
Yeah,
Tide, roll. RTR.
continuing to roll. Haven't lost in the conference.
Looking good. You like to,
Milrose looks like he might have
yeah,
figured it out a little bit.
stepping in.
Jermaine
Yeah.
Burton is a freaking stud.
Yeah. Defense is defensing. They're looking obviously not for both Georgia and Bama, not as strong as they have been in the past. Still, even saying that, they're still the best teams in both their divisions,
Hundred percent.
which is comical to think of.
Yeah. Even on their down years, they both rule the SEC. So
Oh,
if any fans out there of the SEC, if you're not a Bama or an Alabama fan, don't get any hope because your team ain't gonna do anything unless you're LSU every other year, like every like 10 years.
LSU every time they get a new head coach,
Yeah.
it's just like oh, and then sadness.
Yep. Then back to darkness because they already want to get Kelly out of there.
Oh man, SEC, you're a beautiful wild creature, but
But I hate you. No, I'm just kidding.
but that's it for us this week. My name's Hunter Mitchell,
I'm Cade Harris.
and we will catch y'all next time.